We know, according to archaeological evidence, that around 1500, a new group of people comes to inhabit this Indus River plain. So if you're looking at this map, the area between the mountains by the plateau of Iran and about where the eye in India is. And these folks who come in, they're known as the Vedic people. They are nomadic pastoralists. That means they raise animals as their main source of survival. They speak a language that is probably close to dead Sanskrit. It's a language that's no longer alive. And it's probably very close to the basis of what are called Indo-European languages. And if you take a look at the slide that's not the next one, but the one after that, you'll actually see kind of a cool chart that shows you the evolution of languages and how they seem to, at least those that are spoken in Europe and much of the Western world, and then kind of the Near East, all seem to actually have a common ancestor. And it's no surprise thinking about this language that the slide that I have right after this, lots of people who come to inhabit the rest of the world actually start off from the area around the Black Sea. And so you can see here, these folks come in through kind of modern day Afghanistan, settle down in the Indus River Valley Plain, eventually kind of split in two directions. One of them heads a little bit farther to the east. And I mentioned already, these folks are nomadic pastoralists. One of the hallmarks of their religion is they sacrifice animals to gods, and animals play a very important part in their civilization. And one of the ways that we know about these folks is through a series of hymns that they kind of sing as they pass information on from one generation to another. It's very similar in many ways to what we saw in Mesopotamia with Gilgamesh. And these kind of chants that they pass on, and these things aren't written down for another 800 years. So if we're trying to figure out what life is like for these folks from about 1500 to, I don't know, I guess it would be 700 BC, then we need to look both at what is left to us, but also how we can gain insight from how their civilization later on wrote down things about them. And these chants kind of come in two different forms. One's called the Rig Veda, and Veda means knowledge. These are basically hymns that tell them where they come from. And the other one are more specifically hymns that pass on ideas about their connection with gods and the afterlife. So those are a couple of things that we want to think about as we expand in the rest of the class is, who are these folks? How does where they come from shape them? What traditions seem important to them? How does that shape their social structure? We know that by the time they come in, they're pretty advanced. They have horses, they have chariots, they've mastered bronze and metalwork. They've obviously made wheels if they have chariots. And we know about their religion that they worship a whole variety of different gods, both natural and supernatural. And most powerful among their gods are the ones that represent the sky and the ones that represent horses. And chew on that for a second, right? If horses are particularly important in their mythology and in their religion, they're probably pretty darn important to how these folks see themselves. Their chief deity, the chief god, is known as Indra. That's the god of war. So again, that tells us something about what is particularly important to these folks. Next couple of slides, take a look at where Indic people move in the thousands and thousands of years BC. Take a look at the language chart to kind of see what these folks speak and how it relates to other groups of people. And then we'll jump into learning a little bit more about them.